There are laws about the weather.
It is rainy here, November through like the end of June.
Rain can actually draw in pest activity. The voles will continue to be active underneath the snowpack. Technicians should have access to some type of rain gear.
Grease up their shoes. It makes the shoes waterproof.
You're a problem solver.
Find solutions for customers.
There is a lot of value that you can still deliver even when it's kind of raining. People are paying you for your professionalism.
A scalpel does not a surgeon make.
Something really cool we will be talking about very, very soon. Welcome to the Bug Bux Podcast, a podcast designed to turn you into a bug money millionaire. This episode is brought to you by Bug Bux Plus, the #1 training and education platform designed to help you build and scale your pest control company. I am your host, Eric Bassett, and over in Vancouver, Washington, in our Bug Bux Plus studio, my co-host, Jay Klaus. What's up, dude?
Eric, Bug Buxers, what's going on?
All right, man. So Brinley this morning went in and got LASIK done. I did LASIK 2018, right?
Okay.
So right now she's sleeping. In fact, I hope she's sleeping. It's been a few hours, right? We got home a couple hours ago, and she's snoozing.
Yeah.
But when she wakes up, dude, she's going to be 20/20, which is wild.
Oh
So
my gosh.
you had
2020 is
PRK.
good for vision, bad for the year, right? So
Bad for the calendar. Eye doctors are just going to rename that. They're like, you have good vision. You have
you
good
have
vision.
2025 vision, which is
Yeah.
now the new 2020.
Yep. So,
Yeah.
both you and Jana did PRK before I ever got LASIK done. You guys had that.
Yeah.
And Jana recently got that touched up.
You got
which
the
has
touch
been-
up.
which has been a struggle. A little bit.
Yeah. Well, so, PRK is different than LASIK, right? So LASIK, they like slice the eyeball, flap it open, like flapping a grape open. They do the thing and then they flap it back down and, voila, you can see, right? Well, PRK is different because they take a laser scalpel and literally like shave off and reshape the outside of your eye. So it's incredibly painful. The healing process is long. I had LASIK, or not LASIK, I had PRK done in, oh my gosh, when was that? 2009? 2008? No, 2008,
that.
2007, 2008. It was a long time ago. But Jana just had hers done, and dude, she was blind for
Yeah.
a month, 2 months. This was just a couple months ago. Yesterday, she finally said, "Oh, my vision's getting better," and so yeah, it's rough business. If you're gonna do PRK, just plan on like being out of commission for like a month and a half, 2 months.
Well, yeah, dude, if you're young and you have whatever, healthy eyes or whatever, and you heal quick. Like when you guys originally did PRK, I felt like you guys were like out of commission for like a solid week, like out. Like LASIK is like,
Yeah,
you're out for like a
yeah,
half a day, and like the next day
yeah.
you're great. So like if you're a good candidate for LASIK, get LASIK. If you have to get
Do
PRK, man,
LASIK,
like big
yeah.
thing, plan on being out for a
Yeah,
while.
you're out for a
Rough.
while. And I would have done LASIK, but back then the plan for me was to be a firefighter paramedic. So
Hmm.
what they said was if you're in a high impact possibility
Yeah.
type of
Yep.
job like police, military, they say don't do LASIK 'cause if you take an impact to the eye, it can dislodge the cornea, which would be, I mean, that sounds horrible. But I think that I'm about due for a touch up, but I'm waiting a few years because there's a new surgery that corrects both near and farsightedness.
Ooh,
So that's what I'm
yeah.
looking for. But actually, you know what? The opener that I was gonna talk about today is that, I maybe when people watch on YouTube, they see I've got readers on. I'm like taking my readers on and off, and so I've decided that I don't need readers anymore. I'm doing this like mental like mind over matter thing, and I'm just
Uh-huh.
deciding I don't need readers, so I'm not going to wear them anymore, and we'll see where it goes. And so far, believe it or not, I haven't worn readers for 3 days, and like I my close up vision, like I can read closer now. So
Wow.
we'll see. I'll give an update in a little
Okay.
while, but as of right now, my mind is overcoming the matter.
Mind over matter. That's amazing, dude. Okay, well, we're gonna we're gonna have to do a little follow-up check-in on you in another week or two and just see how that whole thing is going because
Yeah,
that sounds awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
We'll check
so
in. We'll check in.
we do have an awesome topic for you guys today, but before we dive into that, of course, just want to remind everybody listening the best way to receive new episodes is by subscribing to our show on your preferred podcast platform like Apple, YouTube, Audible, or Spotify. If you love the show, please leave us a rating and a review. Make sure to check out our Facebook group, Bug Bux Plus. That is BUGBUX Plus. We have the owners only group that has over 4,900 other pest control owners waiting to connect with you and share their thoughts. We also have the Bug Bux Pest Pros group for non-owner team members designed to help them develop in their roles. Joining the groups is the best way to connect with us, share your feedback on our show, and have your questions highlighted and discussed here on the podcast. So make sure you find us on Facebook and join one of those groups. All right, dude. So one of my favorite things to do is to find a question in the Facebook group. And we did find one. I'm trying to figure out who it was from. Do you have it up there right now?
It says it's from Bug Go LLC, Pest Control. This is
Yes.
from 3 days
Awesome.
ago. Yeah.
Okay, read it out and let's talk about it.
Okay, so this is great because so this isn't necessarily like how to like use how to money or marketing or whatever. This is like an actual pest control question. So he says, "What does your snow and rain protocols look like?"
Love it, dude.
Simple
Okay.
question, right?
Well, and I think
Simple
it's cool
question,
because
broad answers.
yeah, and we can kind of expand on this because, of course, I will say that you should always read the label, right? Even if you think you know what the law is, if you have questions, read the label because there are obviously laws about the weather. But other than that, I think we could probably expand this episode into details on what do you do when you have service issues and problems and complications and might not just be weather related, but it could be other factors. So could be a good way to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, you know what? I like it. So this is a great question, I think, for a pest control company to answer if they have a lot of experience servicing in the rain. Well, uh, it just so happens that you've got two guys here that have extensive experience with servicing in the rain. So as everybody knows, if you listen to the show, we're based out of the Vancouver, Washington / Portland, Oregon area, and it is rainy here. Um, oh my gosh, what, November, October, mid-October through like the end of June, it's going to rain. And then every year, like the 5th of July, or sorry, that's my birthday, the 4th of July, it's like that's the last day. You should never see rain past the 4th of July. And it's like excellent summer from Independence Day all the way through September. But the rest of the year, it rains. And it's not like in Phoenix where it'll rain like once a year and you get all of the rain in the entire year at one time. Like we will get like flash floods and stuff where just the roads get washed out and all that stuff. But for the most part, what we get is somewhere between like a perpetual sneeze, like this sneezy mist in the air to, moderate rainfall. So we've had to build our service protocols around having rainy weather, wet soil. On top of that, in our area, the soil is real clay. It's a real clayey soil, so it doesn't absorb super well. So we do have, we got to work around that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, and it's important. Obviously, there are other parts of the service protocols too that aren't just making sure that we can put down the right products at the right time, but how do we make sure that the technicians are also what I will put in parentheses, comfortable, right? Like, how do you get your technicians, how do you get your staff out into the elements and be comfortable with those elements while still trying to deliver the service protocols that you've customized based on the weather?
Yeah, and there's a handful of things at play here. So in Washington State, they have determined that there's varying levels of what rain means, right? So there's like, I don't know, local interpretation of the label or whatever you want to call it, right? So here there's a certain amount of rain that's classified as being actual rain, right? If it's raining below that threshold, then that's not considered quote unquote rain, and you can do your regular service. I think essentially what we're looking at is the rain that's falling down on the ground. Is it going anywhere? You know,
Yes. Is there runoff?
is there runoff? Is it going into the sidewalk and then into the drains? And on every drain here, there's a spray painted marker that says drains directly to the river. So you got to be real careful what you're putting out. So we do have protocols. We use regular like bifen grain when it's not raining, and then we have a special like FIF or 2025B granule that we use when it is raining but not running off. And so
Yes.
that one's labeled differently than the bifen, and like people love it because it smells like essential oils,
Yeah.
right? So you spread it out, it smells like essential oils, and everybody's like, your pesticides smell good, and so people
Yep.
love it, and it works. It works great.
Oh yeah. Well, I think it's important to, if you look at the label and you're reading the instructions, there are some labels that give you a little bit more leniency during types of weather like that, especially FIF or 25B products. But I remember there was this one time when we were doing it was a subterranean termite treatment in Idaho, and we were trenching. We had all the stuff pretty much done. We're ready to kind of mix the product and pour. We were doing Termidor SC, maybe HE at the time. It starts raining, right? And right there on the label, at the time, I'm pretty sure it said, "Hey, like, do not make application during rain or whatever."
Right. Yep.
Like you're like, "Oh, come on, I just dug these trenches, like, please." So we took a quick call to our Department of Ag guy that we usually talk to, and I'm like, "Hey, man, so it's raining. I want to know what we can do here." And he's like, "Well, like, where are you putting the product down?" And I said, "Oh, it's right up against the foundation, like it's a subterranean termite treatment." And he goes, "Cool. Is there any rain like getting by the foundation?" And I'm like,
Such a good point. Yeah.
"No." And he goes, "Then you're good, dude.
Yeah.
Like use your brain, think about it for a second."
Yeah.
And so like we like to think of pest control as doing, a broadcast that, 2 feet up, 2 feet out, whatever you're going to say, treating the eaves and all this other stuff, places where you could have rain that's going to impact that. But there are so many other facets of pest control and IPM and valuable parts of the service that you can do for a customer that the rain doesn't affect at all.
Yeah.
So, it's important to think about that stuff. We're going to take a quick moment to highlight one of the premier sponsors of the Bug Bux Plus platform. Navigating the digital landscape of pest control marketing can be overwhelming, but with over 16 years of industry experience, Lizard Marketing knows exactly how to help you dominate your market and outshine the competition. Their team understands the unique challenges of the pest control industry and crafts high-impact SEO strategies, stunning website designs, and laser-focused Google Ads campaigns that don't just bring in leads, they convert them into loyal customers. Lizard Marketing believes that trust, transparency, and partnership are the foundation of success. They don't just offer marketing services. They build relationships with their clients, working side by side to help them achieve their business goals and grow with confidence. If you're a Bug Bux member, mentioning your membership unlocks exclusive savings on their services. And if you're expanding your skills through our online educational platform, you'll gain access to even greater deals to strengthen your digital presence. DM marketing to the Bug Bux Podcast Facebook page for more information, or visit lizardmarketing.co today. Mention your affiliations and claim your discounts. With Lizard Marketing's proven expertise and client-first approach, you'll adapt, evolve, and succeed. Now back to the Bug Bux Podcast.
Well, yeah, and that's the whole point behind building a house according to code, right? The reason why you have soffits and eaves is so that the rain doesn't get at the foundation of the house. The
Yes.
only thing that's supposed to be in your crawl space is visqueen, like the ground cover.
Yes.
And your plumbing and ducting and stuff, right? Like there's not supposed to be water in the crawl space. So if there is water in the crawl space, that's obviously a big problem. And a lot of areas, California, I think Arizona too, lots of places, it's grade, it's slab on grade. So they don't have a crawl space. They don't have some of those issues. So, when customers say, "Oh, well, it's raining, but I've got ants," or "It's raining, I've got whatever," which is what we see here. As soon as the weather starts to change a little bit, as soon as the barometer makes a shift, then that's a trigger for the odorous house ants to go out of their ground nests, go up into the walls and inhabit those void space areas. So a lot of times when someone calls in for an odorous house ant interior treatment, oftentimes it's because it's raining. And so
Yep.
we have to be able to service in a way that is super effective. And for us, an interior odorous house ant treatment always includes a foundation treatment with a good non-repellent product like Termidor or whatever, because you got to head them off, right? Excuse me. We'll edit
Jake's
this out in post.
Jake's
Hold on.
over there.
Yeah, we'll cut that out in post.
But yeah,
But
I agree with what you're saying 100%. And obviously there are other parts of a really good interior ant treatment that go further beyond, just the non-repellent outside barrier, which is very important, by the way. If you're missing that part out, then you're missing a big part.
yep.
But we've got, wall void treatments. You've got some baits that can be effective.
Uh-huh.
And then you're kind of taking a look at other conducive conditions around the house. So, for example, and this is even a bigger problem, right? So if you've got trees and foliage that are touching the house, not only can that be kind of a highway for ants, especially, WDOs like carpenter ants, and other
Yeah.
types, but if that foliage is also touching the house and you live in an area where it rains a lot, then you also have a moisture problem. And that leads you to other issues with other pests, ants included, and mice and everything
Yep.
else. So,
Yep. Yeah, I mean, those branches that are touching the house, I mean, they act like straws. We see it all the time. Somebody will have a tree branch that's touching the soffit or the upper or like the roof line, and when it rains, it's just the water is just it's just running straight off that branch, straight into the soffit, and we see it all the time. And so you'll tell customers, hey, yeah, we're doing the best that we can with your pest control, but you got to trim these branches back. And then you come back 3 months later and you look in the notes, and for the last year and a half, you've been telling the customer, hey, you got to trim these branches back.
yep.
So customer cooperation is huge. But yeah, I mean, when it's raining, you shouldn't have water at your foundation.
No.
Unless it's like a torrential downpour, you shouldn't have water underneath your soffits and around your door seals and the garage seals and where, the water meter and the utilities like enter into the structure. You shouldn't have water in those places. So for the most part, being able to service those non-wet areas, you're just fine. Obviously
Yeah.
read the label, like disclaimer, asterisk here, read the label, but for the most part, you should be just fine with that.
Yeah, and it's like, if me and Jake really want to be on the safe side here, then obviously we say, hey, do whatever the label says. And obviously, if you call and talk to somebody at the Department of Agriculture, just do whatever they say, right?
Right.
But if you use your brain for a second, and you understand why that is probably on the label, it has to do with runoff, it has to do with, getting the product in places you don't want it to go, especially, runoff in rivers and lakes and streams and everything else. You can probably make a decent application that is very effective for a customer, even when it's kind of raining. I also like how we
Yeah.
kind of transitioned to the fact that rain can kind of shed a little bit of a spotlight on other conducive conditions that can bring pests into the home, right? So just like you were saying, when people have ants or whatever it is, I always tell people, dude, your house, the reason why you love your house is the same reason why all the bugs and all the rodents love your house, right? It's climate controlled, it's protected from predators, right? It's got food, it's got water, it's got all the stuff that you want. And when it rains outside, when it's super hot outside, when it's too dry outside, all of those things will help signal pests to actually come indoors.
Yep.
So, it's actually really important that when it's raining, as a technician, if you got to a customer's home and they say, hey, it's kind of raining, is it okay? Number one, I'm going to explain, hey, some of the products that I use are actually fine in the rain, some granule products, right? That's fine.
Yeah.
Number two, now is actually a really, really good time for me to check conducive conditions around your home, because rain can actually draw in pest activity.
Yeah.
That's a really good value point for customers.
Yeah, that's great.
We're going to take a quick moment to highlight one of the premier sponsors of the Bug Bux Plus platform. Are you running a pest control business and worried about missing sales opportunities? Let's talk about Same Day AI, the game-changing virtual sales agent designed specifically for the pest control industry. This innovative tool uses advanced artificial intelligence to ensure no potential customer slips through the cracks. What's really impressive about same-day AI is how it integrates seamlessly with field routes and other top CRMs. It doesn't just quote, it schedules new customers directly onto your routes, optimizing your workload without missing a beat. I've seen it in action and it is truly a sight to behold. The efficiency is incredible. Bookings go up and stress goes down. For any pest control business looking to enhance their sales strategy and boost customer engagement, same-day AI is your answer. Transform your approach and elevate your service with the efficiency that only AI can provide. Trust me, you'll see the difference. Visit gosameday.com to learn more and start revolutionizing your business today. We're going to take a quick moment to highlight one of the premier sponsors of the Bug Bux Plus platform. Are you a pest control operator that's paying for inbound leads for services that you don't offer or are outside your service area? How would you like to be able to get paid for referring those leads to other companies, all while getting high-quality referrals in return? If you're getting calls for jobs you can't take on, Baton has you covered. With Baton, you can easily refer those callers to other trusted companies and get paid for it. It's super simple. Just create your profile to show what services you offer and where, then start referring leads to more than 500 of Baton's vetted partners, all while getting exclusive, high-converting leads referred back to you in return. Every referral you submit not only gets you paid, but also increases your chances of getting referrals from other companies. And don't worry, every Baton partner pledges not to steal or poach your existing customers in need of other services that you don't provide. With Baton handling the transaction, you can know that customers you refer are in good hands. For Bug Bux Plus subscribers, there are no onboarding or membership fees. Plus, you can get up to $400 in free referral credits just for being a subscriber to the Bug Bux Plus platform. Give referrals, and get paid. Join Baton today. Go to bugbuxplus.com/Baton to get started. Now back to the Bug Bux Podcast.
And, when I was doing pest control in Idaho and California and Texas, a lot of people in those areas ask, well, what do you do when it rains? And you got to tell them, well, you got to walk them through the whole thing. But out here, like 1% of people ask that. Nobody asks that because rain is just such a normal part of life that people just assume that you've got it figured out or it doesn't even cross their mind. In fact, when you're out here in Portland or Vancouver, you will never see an umbrella. Never. If you do see someone with an umbrella, you ask, oh, where are you from? Because for sure they're from out of town, right? Everybody here, it's like it's raining like buckets and people are walking around in sweatshirts or t-shirts, or they've got Columbia gear, because Columbia is based out of here. So, rain is just such a normal part of life here that people don't really ask about it.
Yes. And, speaking of what people are wearing, talking about the technicians for a second, all of your technicians should have access to some type of rain gear, right? Something that's going to keep them dry. Because just like for us, like Jake was saying, there's a time period where every morning it will rain for us. And then in the afternoon's kind of nice and pretty, right? Or maybe if we're lucky, it's pretty in the morning, but then it rains in the afternoon.
Yep.
So, unless
like today, Eric, today out here. So it's like yesterday it was 80 degrees here, which is abnormal for March. Today it's like 75 and sunny, but at about 5 o'clock tonight, it's going to be a massive torrential hailstorm. But it's going to be like 75 degrees. So me and the kids are going to put our swimsuits on and go stand in the hot hail. That's the plan for tonight.
Love it, dude.
Hot hail.
So, if you don't have already rain gear for your technicians, consider investing in some, because that technician can put on his rain gear, he can go out and he can be in the field, not get completely drenched. If the sun comes out later on in the day, he takes that off. He still has his normal work uniform. He's dry, right? And he can continue on with his day. He's fine. I wanted to touch a little bit on the snow part of that question, which I think has a whole other different thing. But before I transition into the snow section, did you have any other points on rain that you wanted to share?
Not necessarily on rain, but water. I have some other ideas about water. So, where we are here and like so many markets around the country, you've got rivers, you've got streams, the Columbia River just splits our market straight in half. And so, when you've got waterways, there are all kinds of other considerations. Down here, there's a bunch of boathouses. We service a whole bunch of boathouses, and who loves to be on boathouses?
Freaking spiders.
Spiders. Spiders go nuts on boathouses. So you've got all these customers that are like, "Oh my gosh, you got to come kill my spiders. I don't care what you spray. You just got to kill my spiders." And we're like, "Well, I mean, we care what we spray because, first of all, we don't want to harm nature. Second of all, we don't want to get fined." So using like a good FIFRA 25B product around water is super awesome. And one of our techniques is we'll just apply that to the Webster head, and then we'll brush it into the eaves. But I remember one time I was using a light spray on a FIFRA 25B spray on the eaves of a boathouse. They said you got to spray, and so I used the right kind of product that can be applied over waterways. And I went around and I sprayed it in the eaves, and I did a spin around the boathouse. And then when I made my second pass, dude, there were hundreds of spiders that were like Spider-Man webbing down. And I tried to take a picture, but picture never does justice.
Does it quite justice? Yeah.
But there was at least 100 spiders just dropping out of the eaves. So you got to find solutions for customers. You got to find solutions for these things because it's what people want. It's what you're supposed to do. So you got to be creative, find solutions. If you don't know what products to use, reach out to your distributor and find out. But there are solutions for those things.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's funny sometimes when young technicians are kind of guilty of this. But usually they go to work for some company and the company says, "Hey, this is how we do the service." It goes boom, 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 right? Don't do anything different. Don't use any other products. This is our service protocol. Stick to it, right? And so you go out to a customer's house and all of a sudden you see something that doesn't fit the service protocol and you just go, "Yeah, I can't help you. Sorry, Mr. Customer, there's nothing I can do about it." Like, "Hey, sorry, it's the law. We'll see you later," right? Call the office if you have any questions, complaints. You got to remember, man, dude, you are a pest control professional, right? You're a problem solver. Like, people aren't just paying you to spray product. They could spray product, right? We've talked about this before. You can get a lot of the same products from Amazon, from the store, from wherever you're going to go. People are paying you for your professionalism, for your expertise, for your licensing, for your problem solving. That's what people pay you for, right? So take a little time, do a little research, talk, like Jake was saying, talk to your chemical rep, talk to the Department of Ag, talk to whoever you need to, come up with a creative plan, a creative solution for that, and then execute and have a happy customer.
Yeah,
Right?
be a professional. That's what people are relying on us for. Hey, you can buy Demand CS and Termidor on Amazon, I think.
You can.
Sorry, wait. We're gonna edit this in post. Let me start that again. Yeah, you can. I mean, you can buy Termidor and Demand CS on Amazon, I think, but
Yes.
doing so doesn't make you a pest control professional. You can buy scalpels on Amazon. Doesn't make you a safety. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
That's the best. That's the best way that I've heard it put in a
How does
long
the
time.
saying go? A scalpel does not a surgeon make. I don't know. I just made that up. But
Yeah, there you go. That works.
it
I'm
works.
gonna write that on my whiteboard and put Jay Klaus right there.
Right? Oh, thank you. Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, so as we're kind of moving on, they mentioned snow in the post, and I wanted to touch on this for just a second because there's two sides of this, right? The first side is that you have to understand that there is a psychological difference in value and perceived value that your customers have when there's snow, right? And people just don't quite understand. They think when there's snow on the ground, bugs mysteriously don't exist, right? This is my favorite one. They all die in the fall and then they magically reappear like they're resurrected in the spring. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like, dude, that's not how it works, first of all. But second of all, like you just have to be aware of that. Like there is a perceivable difference in value when there's snow. However, for a lot of markets that have snow, they also have other types of pest pressures, right? Rodents, we're talking mice, rats, voles. I don't know if anybody listening, you've ever been in any kind of a market that has voles. When you have snowfall and the snow covers the ground, the voles will continue to be active underneath the snowpack and they will absolutely destroy your yard,
Yep. In
right?
fact, doesn't it seem like voles are more active? It's like the snow, as soon as the snow goes away, people are blown away like, holy crap, why are there holes all over my yard? Like they become more active when there's
Yeah.
snow on the ground.
Well, and maybe they're just more bold, right? Like they have this protective layer of snow over them. They can run wherever they want. There's no predators during that
Yeah,
time, right? There's no hawks, there's no owls,
yeah,
nothing's coming to pick them off, and so they do a lot of damage. But like we were talking about before, that's a great time to look at conducive conditions. That's a good time to take a peek at crawl space fence. Anywhere that you have conduit going into the home, right? It's a good time to check in with customers who have interior issues. Because like me and Jake have seen, if you have ants inside your house, inside your wall voids, it doesn't matter if there's snow outside.
right.
They celebrate Christmas, you know what I mean? Like they're
Yeah,
going to be in there happy as a clam in a wall void that is climate controlled and protected from predators. So,
yep, yeah,
um, I did want to touch on the gear thing again,
yep.
right? When it comes to actual technicians, make sure that they have the right clothing. They've got warm clothes, something that'll keep them dry,
Hmm.
gloves, beanies, the usual stuff.
We've got a can of shoe grease in our green room, like our training room.
Hmm.
And I think, was it called Hubbard's or Huber's or something like that? It's a little blue can. It literally looks like a can of marine grease,
Like,
or
yeah, like the
marine
blue
lubricant.
stuff.
So
Yep.
during the meeting, like every Wednesday morning when we have our technician meeting, if it's during the rainy season, the guys just kind of pass that little can around as the meeting's happening, and they'll all just grease up their shoes, grease up the seams, because it makes the shoes waterproof.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, having waterproof shoes, like who was the guy? Who's Lieutenant Dan? Remember what Lieutenant Dan told Forrest Gump? You know, keep your feet dry. What? Protect your feet. So I mean, it's like
Yep.
you got to stay dry. And if your guy if he's got wet feet, he's wet, his jacket's wet, dude, that dude's gonna be miserable. And when your
Yeah.
technicians are miserable, he doesn't do a good job, which is not good for your customers, and it's not good. It's not a good look. So
No, definitely not. And the last thing that I wanted to say about the snow is if you are going to be operating a business in a place that has snow, have vehicles that can operate in it, right?
yep, there you go.
Um, Man, we have so many requests about insurance and about vehicle safety and about, hey, what do we do when we get in an accident or all these other things, right? The best thing that you can do as a business, especially a small service-based business where like it doesn't exist without guys that can drive from A to B, make sure that those vehicles are safe, right? If you have vehicles and we have trucks, like a lot of pest control operators, they're used to having a typical lightweight truck, right?
Hmm.
Well, lightweight trucks are usually just rear wheel drive, and a rear wheel drive lightweight
Hmm.
truck in the snow is a bad combination.
Bad.
So
Yep.
yeah, so keep that in mind.
That's one thing. Yeah, that's one thing that I really like about using the light SUVs, like the
Hmm.
Ravs and the Rogues, because they're all-wheel drive, but they also come standard with all-terrain tires. And
Yeah.
I mean, that's the first thing. It's great. But when our guys' tires do, like when they need to be replaced, we'll upgrade them with a more aggressive all-terrain so that they can handle, we do a lot of services in the mountains, a lot of services in the woods, dirt roads, steep hills, and, also inclement weather. So, you might consider that if you've got just regular trucks with regular tires, if it's time to upgrade, just throw some, I don't know, KO2s or whatever your
Yeah.
tire, whatever your all terrain is that you like, throw those on. I mean, it's worth the investment to have better tires on your trucks, so that you can avoid slipping around in the snow and all that stuff.
100%. Yeah, and nothing worse than having to deal with snow and inclement weather. Weather is also having a technician get stuck somewhere
Hmm.
because he has, crappy traction, and then having a service manager, another technician try to go him get unstuck, and then before you know it, it's this whole rigmarole. So,
Yeah, as we say in the fire department, a fecal production,
yes,
a
dude,
total fecal
a
production.
total fecal production. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this has been kind of a cool episode. I know that sometimes depending on the market, weather kind of gets overlooked a lot, um, and a lot of people probably just close up shop like, hey, it's raining, sorry, can't make it. And I will say that there is weather where you just can't make anything happen, right? Like it's either not safe or it's just not effective, or for whatever reason you got to close up shop. You let your customers know, reschedule those services, etc. And as the Department of Ag and probably the federal government would like us to say, the label is the law. So, pay
Label is the
attention to
law.
what that stuff is. But
Yeah.
there is a lot of value that you can still deliver as a pest control professional to your customers. So don't forget about that stuff.
Yep.
Sweet. Okay. All right. Well, this has been kind of a cool episode. We will make sure. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's cool and coming up. Ooh, you know what? We can't announce this yet. But I will say that there is something really cool. There is a lot of value that you can still deliver very, very soon.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. There's a teaser for you guys. Yeah. All right. Well, we appreciate everybody listening in. If you guys have a coworker or manager who could benefit from listening to this episode, the best way to say thank you to us is to share this episode with them. If you haven't joined the Facebook groups yet, go find the groups and join. It is Bug Bux Plus. Lots of information and great connections there. And of course, if you have a topic that you want discussed on the show, just like this one, just drop it in the group. As always, this episode is brought to you by Bug Bux Plus, the #1 training and education platform designed to help you build and scale your pest control company. Visit bugbuxplus.com to sign up and start building today.
Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.
Thanks again for listening in, and until next time, keep building those pest control companies.
You're listening to the Bug Bux Podcast, hosted by Eric Bassett and Jake Klaus.